These undisciplined clone troopers are the worst of the worst, and their show looks so great. CD Projekt Red is growing and learning from its Cyberpunk woes. And surprise, surprise, Monster Hunter Rise is a monstrous success. All that and the latest and everything cool today in The Rundown. Hey, welcome to The Rundown, everybody. Hope you are doing great. This is The Rundown Live, and it is very cool to have you guys in here today. Happy Tuesday to everybody. Die for Death Clock is the first one in the room with Sweet. And we've got Pathetic Earthling and Blair Farrell. Congratulations on your book release, my friend. That's fantastic. I've seen the images. And yes, I absolutely want a copy of your brand new book about the Avengers in video games. You know I'm down for that. We've got a lot of cool news to talk about today. I can bet that you could predict a little bit about what's happening. Sorry, I'm looking at windows and stuff here. Just making sure I can have all my stuff in a row here. Ethan Jory is here. Nicholas Denslow is here. D-Side Botham. I hope the audio is okay. Let's get started, though, with Die for Death Clock's Rundown. Big announcement today coming out from the Star Wars camp and Lucasfilm. They've released a new trailer for The Bad Batch today, and the show just looks superb. It's carrying on from episodes that unveiled the troopers in the final season of The Clone Wars, and I think, you know, based on The Clone Wars and everything that he's done for The Mandalorian, we can all agree that Dave Filoni is a real gift to Star Wars. In this trailer, we're introduced to Hunter, Echo, Tech, Riker, or I think it's Riker, and Crosshair, and we also saw a little glimpse of Grand Moff Tarkin in there. Something cool about the show is that Fennec Shand, who was played by Ming-Na Wen in The Mandalorian, will also be a part of this show, and predictably, I think it's pretty easy to predict. We're probably going to see a lot of carryover and a lot of actors reprise their roles. We saw Saw Gerrera in The Clone Wars, played by Forrest Whitaker, which was crazy. I love that character, by the way. I think we're going to see a lot of that stuff. And the trailer just looks like it's going to be super kick-ass. These are all kind of rogue clones that are biogenetically enhanced. And so they've got, kind of superpowers, but they also have their own their own identity and their own kind of sense of morality and of right and wrong. And of course, they're caught up in this sort of transitional conflict that's happening in the Star Wars universe, and they go off on their own missions and stuff. It looks like it's going to be a total blast. And the show is going to kick off on May the 4th, which is fitting, right? And they're going to have a 70-minute premiere, and what's happening with the show, like a lot of the Disney Plus stuff, is they're going to release new episodes on a week-to-week basis. I cannot wait to watch the show. I definitely will have some recaps and some thoughts to share with you as the show is released, but it looks very exciting. Between the Marvel stuff and the Star Wars stuff, Disney Plus is going to be rocking with all kinds of cool content. But I had a big question about, Star Wars and the launch of The Bad Batch. Like, why don't we have a true blue Republic Commando follow-up? This was a fantastic squad-based, team-based, first-person shooter that LucasArts brought to the original Xbox back in the day. It's being enhanced and translated to the PlayStation platforms and the Nintendo Switch. It's coming out next month, actually. We don't have very long to wait for it. And it was terrific. You had to kind of rely on your teammates. Everybody had their own abilities. It's kind of Bad Batch-like. It was kind of like Rainbow Six fused with the Star Wars lore, which was tied around the Clone Wars kind of era as well. And it was a ton of fun to play. And I would love to play something more modernized with the Bad Batch characters. But I guess Lucasfilm has a lot on their plate. They're making a ton of movies, and they're working on lots of cool games like the Indiana Jones thing. And lots of other stuff is in the works right now. We know they're working with Ubisoft on something fun. Maybe that's what they're going to do. Maybe it's going to be something akin to Republic Commando. I can imagine the Division team working on something in that vein, and maybe the Bad Batch is going to play a part in that. Who knows? But we don't have long to wait for Republic Commando if you've never played that terrific game. What's great about that game, if you have it for the Xbox, it's backwards compatible on whatever Xbox One or Xbox Series machine you might have right now. And the Bad Batch comes out on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. All right, something that has been getting a ton of attention over the last few days like it has since it launched, is Cyberpunk 2077. Now, this is CD Projekt Red has been in the news for a bunch of different things recently. First of all, they are continuing to patch the game and had a massive patch released recently, and it's meant to fix a ton of issues. They have learned a lot with their, I guess, their cautionary tale that they have shared now with the entire video game industry. You know, obviously internally they're learning a lot, but also the rest of the business has been paying attention. They have also been learning a lot, and they're looking at developing Cyberpunk and Witcher content simultaneously. So more from both of these universes, as expected, is still coming. But, you know, that emphasis on single player kind of calls into question whether we're going to get multiplayer for Cyberpunk, which was one of the things that they were kind of hinting at and suggesting at as Cyberpunk development and sort of early access and early imagery from the game started to hit out. There were a lot of questions about multiplayer. One of the things that they're also talking about is that they are going to change up their whole marketing strategy, and they're not going to be releasing too much information before things are ready. They want to make sure that the games are a little bit closer to completion before they're out there hyping them up, which I think is going to play very well for them. And I think that's probably going to be the case for a lot of developers in the community right now, in the industry right now. The recent patch notes for the game are incredible, and I thought, why don't we go through them right now? We'll just read them all out loud. This is off of GameSpot's page right now. We'll just read a few. You guys following along? Okay, we've got fixed in. Oh, it's Night City. Look at how long this is. This is incredible. And you know what's sad is that there's some streamers and some. It's still going. This is a crazy, crazy long patch note. I mean, it's absurd. It's absurd. This is a finished game that's out on the shelves right now, and it just goes on and on. On and on and on. Okay, that was our rundown. Good night, everybody. So, you know, you read the patch notes. I don't want to like pour salt on the wound. I know that they're going to be fixing this. It's going to take them time. They're working it out. They're changing, they're evolving, and it's going to turn out all right. And the game is kind of cool. I get it. You know, Bear Safi loved the game and finished it on Xbox and thought it was awesome. I played a bit on Stadia, as I've talked about, played on PC, mostly on PlayStation 5. I uninstalled it from the PS5, and I've decided I'm not going to even look at the game again until it's back, until it's updated for the PlayStation 5, until the PS5 version is out there, and it's also available on the PlayStation Store, because it's still not available, as far as I know. Maybe that's changed as of today, but it's still not available on the PlayStation Store, which is crazy. But the other thing that's happened is that Cyberpunk has, or CD Projekt Red has made an acquisition, and it's right here in my hometown of Vancouver. They bought a company called Digital Scapes, which was founded by a whole bunch of veterans that worked in the local scene, companies like Radical and, of course, Electronic Arts. Electronic Arts is kind of like the hub, not just for Vancouver, like developers. You know, clearly they're massive, so it's like a breeding ground. A lot of developers leave EA and start their own studios. That's the case with Radical. But companies, developers from BioWare, and what they've done is they've done a lot of co-development. They've been working with CD Projekt Red on Cyberpunk stuff for a long time. They worked on Dying Light, and I think some of the founders at Digital Scapes are they have Polish backgrounds, so there is a connection with some of those Eastern European studios out there, which is kind of cool. So CD Projekt Red now has a space and a real, full-fledged studio here in Vancouver. And, maybe when this pandemic is all done, I'll start to tour around a little bit. Probably before I get on planes, I will visit some studios locally and do some catching up. And I hope to relay nothing but great news from CD Projekt Red going forward. I do have some great news from Capcom. Monster Hunter Rise is a massive success. Capcom has announced that they've already shipped 4 million copies of Monster Hunter Rise for the Nintendo Switch. It's a stellar-looking game, and it's and it plays as well as it looks as well. It's a beautiful, beautiful experience, and it's taking advantage of that massive install base that's available for the Nintendo Switch. Not to mention the platform's portability. It might be the most perfect, destination for the Monster Hunter franchise because of that portability. We all know that a big part of Monster Hunter's success and a big reason why it has become so popular is because people played it on Nintendo DS platforms and on the PlayStation Portable, and it is a communal experience. It's meant to kind of be shared. Like you can do a lot of great exploration and hunting on your own, and in the case of all of these games, you kind of have to kind of learn the ropes. But the real joy, the real beauty of these games is to pair up with other people and partner up with other people and go out there on these massive quests. And it is crazy fun. I haven't got to that point in Monster Hunter Rise. We always qualify Switch games with that sort of distinction. It's great for the Switch, but I think this is just a great looking game. And I don't think that we talk about PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X with that same kind of dismissiveness or that same amount of expectation. And I think that we should, I think that we should be saying, well, it's a great looking game, but it should look way better based on the horsepower that this thing has. If we're going to constantly qualify the visuals of Nintendo Switch titles in that direction, it should be equally shared with the other guys, I think, right? Because I'll tell you this, Switch is 4 years into its lifespan, and we know that a revision is imminent or it's coming, whether it's this year or early next year. Switch is still impressing the hell out of me. Super Mario 3D World with Bowser's Fury looked incredible. It was still beautiful. Clearly, Nintendo's got development handled on that machine, but Crash 4 looked amazing, even if it doesn't run at 60. And Monster Hunter Rise is staggering. It's a beautiful game. I mean, there's so much detail. So Monster Hunter Rise, massive success, and I think it should be a massive success. It's a wonderful addition to the Nintendo Switch library. I've got one more quick thing for you, though. Narita Boy has launched out there for a variety of different platforms, and this is a very cool looking game. I saw David Jaffe talking about this game. It's an indie title that's been published by Team 17, developed by a company out of Spain, and the whole idea here, it's kind of like Tron meets Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery. It's set in the 80s, and the developers say that they got some artistic influences from things like Castlevania and Another World and Double Dragon. It's got a kind of a set in the 1980s kind of plot, so it's an homage to things like He-Man and The Last Starfighter and, of course, Ready Player One. And it looks like it's a lot of fun, man. It looks like you're in this sort of video game space, and you've got a bunch of different missions and objectives to go and deal with. But there's an awareness that you are inside of this video game space, and you've got this techno sword, which looks suspiciously like a lightsaber. But the graphics look really damn cool. And one of the best things about this game is that it's available on Xbox Game Pass. So this is what I'm going to be downloading to my Xbox Series X tonight. But it's available for PC, PlayStation. I think it's out on the Switch too, or it's coming to the Switch. Super cool looking game. I dig these inventive and imaginative indie games like this that really sort of pull on our nostalgic heartstrings, but also like they look like throwbacks, but they have a lot of cool modern tech and a lot of modern cool quality of life gameplay enhancements as well. This looks like a lot of fun. It's called Narita Boy, and it's out there right now. All right, you guys, that's going to do it for the rundown today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again tomorrow with another episode. Thank you to all of our subscribers out there, and thank you very much to all of our EPN members. We'll see you tomorrow, and until then, play forever.